All right, we are in Lake Placid post-race with the one and only, the person who finished another Ironman, Fred Critch, and Becky and Shelly. We made a surprise drop-in, Shelly and I did, to spectate and see Fred get his redemption race done.
My 19th finish.
19th finish.
Yeah.
And how did the day go, Fred?
Well, the swim was uneventful. I got in thinking I would just seed myself around the 110, 120 group, somewhere in there. Started passing people left and right. Couldn't believe it. There was clear water in front of me. Realized I was near the front of the pack. Got to transition.
And you swam right back here, right? Mirror Lake.
There. Yeah. Got to transition, and hardly a bike gear bag had been taken. So I got on my bike, and I noticed it was empty out there. There were just a few pros out in front of me. So I just got on the run. Well, when I got to transition, hardly any run gear bags had been taken. So I just started running my heart out. I just ran one of my best runs ever, I think, and got here. I can't remember what time it was, but I was thinking I should have gone down to awards and roll down, just thinking I might have gotten something, but I don't know. So, and you want to know what my time was? I think it was like 16:47.
So you got to finish in not up with the pros, but you got to finish with Mike Riley, the famous announcer, the voice of Ironman, who technically retired at the end of last season, I think it was, said he would make a cameo appearance to announce this race because it was the 25th anniversary of Ironman Lake Placid. And so Fred, I think, intentionally wanted to be in the final midnight hour, so with Mike Riley out on the red carpet at the Ironman finish line.
Yeah, it was the 15th time Mike Riley has called me down the carpet. So, incidentally, I mean, in all seriousness, the swim was a good swim. I can't remember what my time was. I think it was around 124-ish, somewhere in there. But we had a cool, drizzly morning, and the first loop of the bike course was wet, at least as far as the keen descent was concerned. So that kind of made it a white knuckle ride. It was perfectly dry on the second loop, as that's often the case.
And that's the long 5-mile downhill.
5-mile descent, yeah.
Yep.
And it's you're going over 30 miles an hour for most of it. So
yeah, I think I remember hitting almost 50 miles an hour when I did it many years ago.
Yeah, on the wet, I was a little conservative. On the wet pass, the
yeah,
first pass
it's scary.
Wet, I definitely had to be feathering the brakes. But then on the second pass on the dry pavement, I realized, what's a few seconds or a few minutes if it ends your day, if you end up having a wreck. So I was conservative. The bike course was tough. This year they introduced a new bike course. They took out the out and backs and they put a little loop in. The loop has a Cat 4 climb as well as 2 other climbs. That Cat 4 climb is pretty brutal. If you've done Ironman Wisconsin, it's as long as Barlow, but not as steep, but definitely harder than Witch number 1 on the Wisconsin course.
And it was almost at least 50%, if not almost double the elevation of Wisconsin, I think, total elevation gain, right? It was just under 7,000 feet of climbing.
Yeah, I was surprised at how much climbing we had. I mean, there was it seemed like there were very few chances to recover, especially with that new section. But, you could tell a lot of people were hammering early and paying the price on the second loop. People who had done this course before and didn't realize that new hill was going to make a difference as we start climbing back to Wilmington and Lake Placid. And then the run here, it's a hilly run. Lots of hills, more so, more hills than any other run course that I've done, I believe. And I'm comparing it to Coeur d'Alene and Wisconsin. So I guess St. George might be the only Ironman that I think now is harder. But I've never done St. George. But
And we saw a couple of our friends are officials for Ironman, and they were out on the course. We were getting a lot of updates that the heat caused a lot of DNFs. We didn't see the official DNF rate yet, but we know it was pretty darn high.
Yeah.
How was? Why don't we get some thoughts from our spectators of what they saw Fred doing out there all day long? I know Becky was your main Sherpa. Becky, what was it like from the sidelines, spectating the swim, bike, and run? Your observation?
Well, I was really surprised at how chipper Fred was throughout the day until like close to the end of the run. He was actually in really good spirits. Owe that a lot to having special guests show up unannounced, or at least unannounced to him. And also I think there was the factor of this being a redemption race that really kept him motivated and kept him pretty excited about it.
Can I mention something about that? Last time I was here, I was battling heart arrhythmia, and every time I tried to run, I was feeling it, and I didn't realize that had become something I could feel in my chest over the past like 6 to 8 years. And after having a heart ablation procedure that removed the arrhythmia, it felt so strange to be running on a long day like this and not have those vibrations in my chest. So redemption race, but also it felt great to be able to run without feeling weird. So yeah, thanks for reminding me of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was also really exciting to see Mike Riley. Since he's officially retired, but still the same energies that you see around the finish line, which it just compares to nothing else. So it was really exciting to be out at the finish line right up until, thank you for being close to closing time, so that we could hang out a little bit longer and actually see the final finishers come in as well. There's nothing like that in Ironman.
Yeah.
Kelly?
What to say? Yeah, like Fred had said, it was a total surprise. We had just planned this a week ago to come up here, and we were debating on whether to drive or fly. And I thankfully found that you could fly from Chicago to Burlington, Vermont, and then you just rent a car, and it's a 2-hour drive. So it wasn't that bad, but I mean, it's challenging when you land at 11 p.m., then you get to the hotel at 1 in the morning. So.
And what type of wildlife did you see while driving over here?
While driving over here, we saw a deer, we saw a couple foxes, cats,
Any moose?
No moose. No moose. We didn't
bears.
hit anything, thankfully. Yeah, no bears. Yeah, we didn't hit anything that I know of. But yeah, just to come and spectate at Ironman, it's just always such a special feeling. It's such a great environment, the community. Everybody pulls for each other. You cry at the finish for everybody else, especially the midnight finisher. Just to see all the emotion that everybody's feeling, because you put in so much work. Or like Fred said, the last 2 days, he started training 2 days ago. Yeah. And just to see that goal come to fruition, and it's exciting, and super happy.
Yeah, and Fred and I both did this race many years ago, 26 years ago, 2018 or so.
Yeah.
And it should be on my shouldn't it? 2020, the 20th anniversary year. And it was the first year, I think, of Lake Placid was 1999, which was before triathlon was even an Olympic sport. It became an Olympic sport in 2000. So this race has a lot of history. The first Ironman races in North America. So it's a lot of reasons. It's a big deal. And an amazing, epic venue up in the mountains. Beautiful, clear mirror lake swim in the Lake Placid area. Mountainous bike ride. And then the run course, I'm actually curious. So I'm curious to compare, I haven't looked at the numbers, but the amount of elevation gain on the run course compared to other challenging courses like Wisconsin. I think this one has more elevation gain here than even Wisconsin does. And they changed the course a little bit, but I felt like as a spectator, it was more fun this time around because there were 3 out and back sections essentially. So you get to see athletes quite often. Like you go out and back, out and back, out and back, and as a spectator, you can kind of stay in the middle and see people. But what was it like for you, Fred? Do you remember the comparison of the last time you did the run to this time and what you thought of the course?
For some reason, the run seemed hillier. Like, where did all these hills come from? I don't know if they changed the run course, but it seemed like it had a lot more hills. And for an older guy like me in my 60s, carrying some extra weight, that really, each of those climbs wrecks your legs. So that when you want to run down the other side of the hill, your calves might not cooperate. They may be cramping up. So you don't get a chance to fully recover. Every couple of miles, your legs are being tested on a hard climb. And the bike course, this new bike course, really wrecks your legs before you get to the run. One thing that's interesting about the bike course is it's great to see the light people shoot up the hills with their watts per kilogram, probably sky high, and it's hilarious to watch all the heavy people shoot past everyone on the downhills.
So it all balances out in the end. And the run course is pretty cool too, because the transition area is actually in the ice skating oval, like an outdoor ice rink area. And then the finish line, you go into the ice rink, you do like a half lap around the oval to the finish line, and they set up a little mini Olympic cauldron on the perimeter of the oval as you come into the finish line. What was because you've done a lot of Ironman races, what is the finish line experience like here in Lake Placid compared to some of the other ones you've done?
They try to make it a great experience, at so many other races. I think Sacramento and Madison have the Capitol building in the background, so they've got that beautiful view of the finish. So a lot of races try to give you that spectacular finish, but going around the Olympic ice skating oval, with they have banners lining the sides. It seems like for half a mile as you come into the oval, and the crowd is just going crazy. So it is, one of the best finishes.
And Shelly and I dressed up in unicorn outfits, inflatable unicorn outfits, and we went down to the finish chute. And Mike Riley came over to us and made a few comments. I don't know if Fred, you saw us, because coming down that finish line late at night, it's dark, and you're running into that bright light and everything, and they got the fireworks now at the finish line, which is pretty cool. It was pretty special. I think it's got to be my favorite is Wisconsin, just because it's in our back, in our backyard from Chicago, and they've kept Wisconsin being a spectacular race with the finish line that supports the last finisher. But this one I think is a very close second. Actually, as far as pomp and circumstance, this finish line probably beats Wisconsin.
What about Kona?
Well, that's in a whole nother league.
That's very true.
I mean, they give you a red carpet for like the last 5 miles, don't they?
And you have a ramp to go up the finish.
Yeah. Air conditioners, follow.
So do you think, would you come back here and do this race again, or would you just come back to spectate? Or
Me right now. Last night I said, hell no.
The day after.
I didn't get a chance to train like I thought, and I thought I was going to do my peak training maybe 2 months ago, and I had a COVID interruption that knocked me out for a couple of weeks. So I really didn't train as hard, and that's why the race was as challenging as it was for me. I could have been better prepared. I say that every time, but yeah, I would do this again. But I'd have to warn anyone considering Lake Placid that if they keep the course the way it is, it's a couple notches harder than every other course in North America, in my opinion. And so you have to be well trained. Maybe test yourself on a flatter course, because those hills will really knock you out. And when you on the bike, and when you think you can recover and maybe make up some time on the run, the run is just as punishing. So at least that's how I felt with my undertrained perspective.
So a flatter course like Wisconsin?
Yeah. No, I'm thinking like
Actual legit flat?
like a Maryland or a Sacramento.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then on a good day, Arizona or Florida, but those have wind to contend with.
So if we come back here again in the future, you probably will be spectating, not racing, and maybe we'll have you host a new TRI312 segment called Breakfast with Fred.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Sounds great. Although I'm not retiring just yet because that was my 19th finish. I guess I need to get 20. Maybe that'll be Wisconsin, but yeah, I wouldn't mind trying this again, but it would have to be a year where everything lines up and I'm really training. But yeah, I'll be back here, on vacation, doing the Breakfast with Fred segments or
Sideline
racing.
reporting.
Yeah. In fact, yeah. So sign up, you guys. Sign up. I'll be here.
Well, it seems like if we're doing it every 5 years, it'll be 5 years from now. Maybe we'll come back and do another giant group Ironman outing for
Fred will be in a different division.
the 30th
So
anniversary
maybe
of Lake
he will
Placid.
Make that roll down.
Yeah.
Well, I think that'll be it for our segment here. But yeah, stay tuned for more. We shot a lot of video and photo content along the sidelines, so hopefully we'll have some fun memories of coming out to Lake Placid for the 25th anniversary and maybe the final announcement for Mike Riley at the finish line, midnight finish. So we'll see if he does other cameos in the future, but he's technically retired, and yeah, this might have been the final show for the voice of Ironman.
Hopefully not, but you never know.
I think you can send him $1,000 or something like that, and he will say, "Shelley, you are an Ironman."
Yeah.
Even if you've never done a race at Couch Potato, I think the fee might be $2,000.
All right, well, we might have to do another one of these. Don't know which race next. We've got Ironman Wisconsin coming up, and then maybe having a couple people racing in Hawaii. So we'll have to do Breakfast with Fred alongside Breakfast with Bob.
Somewhere on the E Drive.
Somewhere on the Leahy Drive. So
IMAS.
Ironman Arizona
So
maybe as
somebody's
well. Oh,
just
that's
signed
true.
up.
We should do
4 months.
Breakfast with Fred if he makes it out to Arizona.
Okay, weekly races. I'm going to race against you on Swift weekly until you go to Arizona.
Oh,
Done.
So
So
try
that means
to-
you actually have to.
Yeah, I'll train with you. Yeah.
Stay tuned for the TRI312 weekly race with Fred segment on Zwift. We'll send
Send invites.
we'll send an invite for anyone who wants to join us. Tuesday nights maybe? That might be the best night to do it. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out.
Just not
But
tomorrow.
yeah,
Not tomorrow, Tuesday.
after we get through Chicago Tri season. So
Yeah.
stay tuned. Stay tuned. All right.
Back to you, Brian.
All right. Out from Lake Placid.